Also, by the way, I'm terrified of birds, so if there's any birds around the premises, I will have a breakdown.
Out of the orb comes like a universe, and then behind this guy who just created a universe is like 10 like strange creatures.
This is the Narrative Nerds Podcast with Carter Petrie and Shane Ryan. I'm Shane, and with me as always, my co-host Carter Petrie. How's it going, Carter?
Not too shabby.
Glad to hear, brother. Our interdimensional pod is crash landing here on Earth, and we're here to set up shop in your day and bring you a fresh new look at some stories. So what do you say, Carter?
I think we should jump right on in there.
All right, go for it. Well, before we jump right in, tell me a little bit about yourself. Who the heck is Carter Petrie?
Well, I was walking down the street the other day and I ran into this gentleman.
Okay.
Who was me.
Oh,
While I was me.
What a trip.
It was a problem. Anyway, we had a long conversation. He told me all about how he used to live in Minnesota. How he used to make a lot of music out there, and he had a good buddy named Shane. They were good buds back since sixth grade. Always hanging out, talking, making jokes, doing funny things, writing stories. And I was like, wow, that's crazy, because I had a friend just like that out in Minnesota when I was living out there.
Wow. Yeah, no,
So,
I've actually talked to Carter Petrie. Wild dude, pretty animated. I mean, really cool guy. And he was telling me about this Shane folk, and yeah, I mean, he seemed like a pretty chill guy out in Minnesota. Like you said, they grew up together, and like seemed pretty average. Honestly, though, kind of seemed like the wingman to Carter Petrie. I'm just saying.
I don't know. I
but-
mean, Carter Petrie was telling me that he saw it the other way. So maybe, just maybe they were just the wings of the bird. They both were the wings. No wingmen, just the wings.
Fair enough. Well, I guess that kind of makes sense. I mean, who wants the pressure of being the guy, you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
or the bird.
Right.
That's
It's
a
all
lot
about
of work.
the wings. It's all about the wings. Get them off the ground.
Yeah, you got to control the wings,
That's a fact.
And so it's better to just be the wing. So that's
Right.
why we're such a great dynamic, is because we're
And
pulling equal weight.
if anyone hasn't already picked up, obviously we're the wings because we are winging it. Terrible joke. Getting it started off early. Low standards for everyone out there.
So anyway, I was chatting with this Carter guy out in Connecticut, where I've been living the last almost 2 years now. And I moved out here to start kind of trying to push myself into new avenues of making music, working in different studios, getting different types of experience, working with people that have a lot of experience and that can teach me things that I never would have gotten anywhere else. So,
which, by the way, sorry to interrupt you. For anybody who hasn't checked out Carter's music, look up Ancient Moon on where can they find that, Carter?
Yeah, you can check out the SoundCloud or the Apple Music or the Spotify.
It's a real good tunes, really great. I like it. A lot of them are just tracks you can drive to, tracks you can run around the block to, tracks you can just
pet your dog to. You can.
Yeah, sure. Hey,
walk up some stairs.
Walking upstairs for sure. Honestly, I live in a flat 1-bedroom apartment, so when I turn it on, I have to go out into the hall just to use the stairs. So it's worth it though. Great stand.
What you could do is you could hit Home Depot and just get some plywood, build some stairs in your living room that go nowhere.
That's always a good idea.
Or there's always the Stepmaster too.
Man.
But I don't encourage listening to my music while working out.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I don't really encourage working out anyways because, like, who needs to be healthier? Am I right?
That's for lame people.
Which is a
Lame
pretty good
folks.
segue into, the life of Shane Ryan.
Hop in there, bud.
I'm a tech writer, and I work for an awesome company, and it allows me to work with words every day. And as a creative release, I get to come home and, the word release sounds gross. As a creative hobby, I get to do stuff like this with my best friend Carter, where we just get together and we just riff and talk and chit chat about stories. So that's what we wanted to bring to you guys, the listeners.
Mm.
And so that's kind of what we're here to do. But yeah, I mean that's what we're all about. Um, Hey Carter, you got any good memories from like, when we were younger? Got any funny insight for the listeners on what kind of
Well,
kids we were?
when we were younger in middle school, I remember we were just an absolute riot. Um,
Oh, as all middle schoolers are. I
true,
mean, as a middle
true.
schooler, you got a lot of stuff going on and everything, but if you just step back and like, I don't know, middle schoolers are just goofballs all the time.
Oh yeah, and
Annoying as hell, but goofballs nonetheless.
we were on some spectrum that was just a blast, man. It was. I remember
Uh,
looking back at middle school. I know a lot of people look back and they're like, "Oh, the worst days of my life," and I look back at those days and go, "Man, what a time!"
Yeah, so a little bit of background. Carter and I are actually the younger brothers to, oddly enough, surprise our older brothers, Eric and Tyler. Shout out to Eric and Tyler if y'all are listening.
What's up, boys?
How's it going? And because of that, we were often in classrooms after they were. Teachers would be like, "Oh, you're the younger brothers. Oh, great."
It's a
Um,
legacy. It
Yeah, it
transitions
was
down
kind
the
of a
generations.
it was kind of a not a great legacy because a lot of the times the teachers would just rub the bridge of their nose and prepare
Really taught
themselves
like in
for
a
just
hard way too.
just a couple more shitheads in their class. One that pops into mind is and I went back and forth on whether or not to use her name, but I think I'm gonna because
Why not?
I think she embarrassed the hell out of us in middle school. So I guess full circle. So we were we had this teacher named Miss Giltner who was an
Oh,
art class, right, Carter?
it was art.
Yeah. And apparently our older brothers must have had her, the year or two before. And our older brothers founded a losers table, quote unquote. I kid you not. That's what Miss Giltner dubbed this table, was the loser table. Which
And
Carter,
it was only for like I think our brothers and us. I don't
yeah.
think this
I
was
mean,
like the
I don't.
loser table
No,
for like anybody else that was a loser. It was just
no. It was solely a Petri Ryan Boy like branded table.
and
Um,
it wasn't like
and
anybody else couldn't sit there.
oh,
Anybody could sit there and it was maybe a winner table to them, but
sure. Yeah. Damn it, Carter. I'm just realizing now the loser table would have been a perfect name for this podcast, but son of a bitch. I guess we'll just have to stick with narrative nerds.
the loser table.
But anyways, I remember Miss Giltner would just like it was so the first day of class, everyone's filing in, we're all excited. Carter and I sit next to each other, kind of like in the middle front of the room, and she did roll and everything and made the connection of, oh, that's Eric and Tyler's younger brothers. Oh, here we go.
Not only do they like have the same last names, but they actually look pretty damn similar.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely.
Like we were
I
like
actually have a
perfect clones.
I have a good story about that too, Carter, but we'll get to that later. So, anyways, she makes the connection, and of course, little sixth graders, we after that, we get into like sketching and shit like that, and we're drawing goofy stuff. I don't even remember what, but it was enough to get us chuckling. And within, I don't know, probably an 30 minutes of the class, she moved the seating around so that we weren't near each other, which yeah, that's not gonna work because like we're gonna we're gonna make it work. We're gonna mess around
Oh
anyway.
yeah.
So we're making noises across the room and everything like that, throwing bits of paper at each other. Just we were being total assholes, Carter. I mean, we were being the worst.
One of
Uh,
the only things I remember about that class was yes that day, and there was another day where we were making these little tiny. It was probably like a 2 inch by 1 inch. It was like a little piece of plastic that you put in a kiln and it would melt down from a big size to a small
oh yeah,
size.
sure.
I remember that day. Nothing special about it. Just I got sent out for some reason. And then
Carter, I what what I was gonna say was that next class period. Um, that next class period, she ends up moving us to the back of the room to a table just by ourselves and being like, I know you guys are going to be a distraction to everybody, so I'm putting you guys at the loser table. And
this is a place for you to be, isolated and to just really feel horrible about
yeah.
yourself. You know?
Essentially, I mean, I don't remember verbatim what she said. I just remember,
Oh
quote,
yeah.
the loser table.
Yeah, she was very, very like passive aggressive about it. She was like, it's not like it's any big problem, you're just sitting at the loser table.
Yeah.
She was
Oh.
super passive aggressive.
And I
Um,
think that kind of like, man, I don't know Miss Gildner. I don't know her life and what's going on, but I just think that sets a terrible precedent for whatever happens the rest of the semester. I remember, Carter, there'd be days where you'd walk in and I don't know if you would like just say something in the beginning or if it was a look you had or something, but I remember within 2 minutes of you being in the classroom, she'd be like, Carter, is it going to be one of those days? You can just leave if it is. And you'd be like, all right, see ya. And you just get up and walk out, go to the quiet room
yeah, I think it's
or
gonna be one of
wherever.
those days.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just a terrible student in middle school. I remember I had a Spanish teacher. I think we would have had this class together.
Sounds
Um,
great. Yeah.
yeah, Miss Verkus, and
Yeah. Bless that woman, though. I mean,
bless her
honestly,
sweet soul. She was
she
great.
was she was so nice, but when you're
She,
working in a middle school, it's so hard to get respect from those kids. I mean, they're kids are the worst, guys. Like, let's be honest with ourselves. Anyway, Carter, go on, go on.
yeah. Well, anyway, I remember like I had time trials to see like how quickly I could get kicked out of that class, and I think my record was like under a second. And, it was getting into the decimals there. Um,
Probably the quickest learning anyone ever did in those classes was when you got kicked out.
yeah. Yes,
Oh
I think I
man.
just walked in the door and just screamed profanity,
Yeah.
and then would like look at the clock, like immediately. Like, what do I got?
She
Oh,
would
it's
just
3 seconds. She just
she would just go
snaps
out.
out, out. Like, why did you even
Oh
walk
man.
in? Like, just
Oh
don't even come to
God.
class. Just go right to the quiet room.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think
those
in
were
high
some
school we
days.
kind of toned that down a little bit, but we still managed to get into a little bit of trouble. But yeah, those are some pretty funny times.
It was a lot worse though in high school, like as far as you and I being able to hang out because there was such a much larger broad spectrum of classes you could take and like
Yeah.
different. So like your probability of getting matched up was so low. So it was most of like class, like hallway time or like lunch or I think we had a couple classes together though at some points and
Oh
uh,
yeah,
we were
definitely.
definitely goofing. But it was
Yeah.
more so the times that we'd go to the park after and chuck some
You
frisbee
know,
disc.
I wonder if like the school board like had it in our permanent records out of middle school to be like, all right, these guys are bad news when they're in the same room. They're fine alone, but don't put them together. And
Dude, there has
the
to be a
counselors work
folder.
that in.
There's a folder somewhere where it's like diabolical dynamics.
Yeah,
It's
our
like
uh, our parents would always say that Petri boy brain cells and Ryan boy brain cells would actually cancel out, which um, we're gonna have Eric and Tyler on this show sometime and hear some of their stories because they are funny
Hilarious.
as hell. Just a little tidbit. Many a ruse with like potato cannons in
Oh,
cars, driving through
out of
soccer fields and
windows,
whipping shitties and stuff.
blowing up
Just
fridges, arson.
that
You
can't be
know.
proven. Actually, that one's still up in investigation. So, you know,
Oh,
be discreet,
they're
Carter.
still looking into it to this day. They're like,
Yeah,
oh,
they're
there's burn
dusting.
marks on the
This
lawn.
morning, I read the police report and they were dusting prints.
It's gonna be like a 20-year lawsuit.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
gonna
you're
go
gonna see a
through the
Netflix
court.
original on it.
Oh yeah, making an
Definitely.
arson.
Yeah. Oh
That'd
man.
be great.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were some times we had back in high school, I think I remember mostly middle school because you and I were just like, I think we had like all the classes together.
Well, and I think when we were in middle school too, we had just met in 6th grade and we started hanging out just a ton. Like we'd hang out every day. And I think for middle school kids, there's this unspoken competition about how terrible you can be. And
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you and I went back and forth on that for quite some
I
time. Yeah.
But what I loved about it is it didn't even feel like a competition. It just felt like we're just here to do what we gotta do.
Yeah.
You threw us into middle school, and you know what happened. So
Yeah.
this is what you get, and we're gonna do it as best as we can because Mama ain't raised no quitter. Um, I remember we did a science project about recycling. Uh,
Oh my God. Yeah. Was that in
6th
that
grade,
was,
yeah,
that was probably in 6th grade too.
it
Man, 6th
was,
grade was eventful.
dude. It was the
Hell.
banger. It
Trust
was.
me, for all the listeners out there, we're gonna get to more stuff other than our 6th grade just shithead career, I promise. But for
You got
now,
to
Carter,
start
keep.
at the beginning.
Oh, sure, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
think I have a 7th grade story too, but I'll tell that one after you're done.
yeah. So I remember this. I don't even remember what was going on with this project we did. It was about reduce, reuse, recycle. Um, there was scenes where we were in my basement, I think, and we were like playing Nintendo. I really don't think any of it had to do with recycling. I think it was just a bunch of
Oh,
ridiculous
you know what?
clips that got pieced together.
Yeah, I remember what it was too. It was definitely about recycling and going green and stuff. And like you said, it was random clips. I remember one of the clips was me holding a birthday card with like a baby crying on it and Candyland. No context for it, but I was talking about going green or something.
Yeah, dude, it didn't make. I don't really think it made any sense. The only thing that I remember making any sense was the last scene where we walked into my dad's office and there was like a piece of paper in the garbage. And I was like, who did this? And I just slapped myself in the face and fell to
Yeah.
the ground. And that was it.
Now, I don't know if anybody knows this, most likely not, but Carter is a master video editor. So the
No.
class saw that slap about 7 times and then a final one in slow motion. Yeah,
Spit
exactly. Yeah, so everybody remembered that. That was the most memorable part.
Well, dude, that
Uh,
was what we used to do outside of school. We used to make all sorts of little like shorts and things that
yeah.
didn't make any sense.
Oh, yeah. None
That
of
was
them
kind
made any
of
sense.
the initial seed that grew into what we're doing right now. All the times that we would get around, we would just start creating these stories and characters, and then we'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
we got to film this for
Yeah,
some
and
reason.
that's kind of like the strain or the one tendril that's run through our entire friendship is creating, all the way up until the summer before you left for school, or I'm sorry, before you went out to Connecticut, was it?
Mhm.
No, 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 this would have been before that because this was 3 years ago. We started painting and stuff like that
Oh
together,
yeah, definitely.
which pretty cool painting.
We'll have to post
some
that at some
some
point. You guys
slanted
can see that.
reviews. I've had somebody tell me it looks like a bad acid trip, which
Yeah.
I don't know if I agree with. But okay,
I
to
mean, if
each their
you're on acid and it's going to a bad place, there's a potential you could see something like this. Yeah.
I mean, you never know.
You
I
don't
would never.
know.
But I mean, to each their own. Everyone interprets in a different way.
Yeah, well, essentially what that painting was, it was I don't even remember the phases of like how we came to like understand the storyline. I remember it kind of like progressed as we would do installments on it.
hmm
I remember it was like at one point we were like all of these so essentially well, I'll just give you the rundown. There's essentially this being standing in the middle of the painting and he's holding an orb in his hand. And he's like blowing through the trees and it like goes into the orb and it out of the orb comes like a universe, and then behind this guy who just created a universe is like 10 like strange creatures, and they're all just like standing and watching, and then above them is like the horizon and there's like this ridiculous geometrical and like checkerboard, like all sorts of crazy colors and shapes and stuff, and so essentially it's
I
like
think
they're in a
I think it.
universe created by a universe, and they just
I
created a universe.
I think at one point it had some really conceptual ideas put into it. But if I look at it now, I don't really connect all the dots. I just kind of reminisce on the good times.
Of making it. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, which brings me to my next point. Like any other art form, painting is creating a narrative.
it is.
Oh, wow. Like, well,
Ooh, you
right?
nerd, you.
I know. Thank you. I appreciate that, Carter. I appreciate that.
Run with it, bud.
Um,
Run with it.
but I mean, like the whole idea is that you create a narrative, and whoever views that either buys into it or says, "Okay, fair enough," and then they walk along their way and do whatever they like. But that's kind of
Or they take it and
what.
go, I'm making a new story.
Yeah, make their own story different from the one that the artist
Initially
intended.
made.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
that's a great part about art. It's such a loose medium. Anybody can run with it in their own direction. And then from those points, somebody just ran with some idea to this place, and then somebody goes, "Oh, that's great. I'm going to take it to a new place." And you just got this ridiculous spider web of like ideas. What's always super cool is like the origin of the web, like where that started. Whose idea? Like,
are we talking spider webs here? Or?
yeah, I mean, if you want to.
Hey, interesting fact. Did you know spider webs were actually initially a spider's attempt at art?
Really?
Yeah, little known fact. There's actually a documentary on it called "The Web," and
I thought
that's
that
the
was about
title.
the internet.
But no, common misconception. A lot of slanting reviews online for that documentary because of that, though, where people thought it was about the web. But no, originally they were meant to just be an expression and everything, and then the spiders actually, would get pissed when flies and other bugs would fly into them, and so the whole thing that people believe it's a functional way to catch their prey, not actually accurate. They were just super pissed at all of the bugs that came and crashed into their art piece, and so they would eat them.
Oh, it was just revenge.
Yeah, pure revenge.
Well, that's pretty. Well, did they start to realize that this actually is a great idea to catch stuff? Maybe they're like, well, I'm looking for a supermodel.
I,
See if I can
doubt
catch
it.
one of those. I'm
I
looking for
doubt it.
that new PS4.
Ooh, you know what? You know what? I mean, maybe they were the pioneers of mixed media art. They started off with the silk backdrop, and then over time they would accumulate, mosquitoes and flies and stuff. And I'm sure there's that one pompous spider that was like, "Yeah, this is just my collection. I'm working to get a praying mantis, but you know how they are."
Oh,
Yeah.
cool ideas.
Yeah, he was probably smoking a pipe and like,
Oh
had
yeah.
a wicked comb over and a tweed jacket.
Just a complete hipster spider.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah.
He's from France.
Spiders were hipsters before they were cool. So, if
Oh
that
yeah.
doesn't scream hipster, I don't know what does.
They are the origin.
Yeah.
They started it, man.
Hey, that kind of reminds me of a fun fact about hipsters. Did you know that hipsters originally consisted of the group of 5 people that had the first hip replacement surgeries, which is why they're called hipsters?
Hmm.
And the reason they took such pride in that is because no one could tell that they had had this hip surgery. So it was, this secret club where only the cool kids gathered that had had this like groundbreaking surgery.
But plot twist, it was in a nursing home.
Oh shit.
They
That's
all needed new hips.
uh-huh. But only these 5 won the sweepstakes.
Sweepstakes,
Yeah.
which is funny because they got their legs kicked out in the sweepstakes. Sweep
Yep. Yeah.
and need a new hip.
Yeah. Damn. Well, that's
And
funny
just
because
like that,
before that sweepstakes, they didn't need new hips. They were actually like,
we're
up and
fine.
taking walks all day. They didn't even groan when they like stood up from sitting down. They were in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
But
They're just
hey,
like, well, you won.
people
Also,
don't choose when their groundbreaking, discoveries happen. It just happens.
you can't fight it. Don't
You were
fight the
saying,
hip. Don't fight the hip. That's it. I mean, yeah, I'm sure they have like a whole different like series of, like we've got the Mark 6 Walker Deluxe V5 up for grabs. Whoever
this
puts in
one's
the
this one's the strut master.
pose, strike a pose.
Yeah.
You know what I always wish they would have done in nursing homes? I shouldn't say I wish, they always did, because I've never thought this before. So as of right now, I wish this would happen.
Throw it at me.
You remember like dances, like 7th and 8th grade dances, the
Oh yeah,
cha-cha slide,
the
dude.
classic mixer.
They need like a banging DJ, and they need to like throw raves at
Nice.
nursing homes, and like you
But
got like this like 90-year-old women, they're like on Molly, and they're like freaking out, and they're tripping, and
but here's the thing: they probably, one, should not have strobe lights, and two, not solicit the use of narcotics.
narcotics of any sort.
But hey, I
Other
mean,
than the pharmaceuticals that they already have to take, they're like, "Hey, you got some of the blues?
yeah,
Yeah, I'll take your red," and it's all placebo, and they're like,
yeah,
"Whoa, I'm
it's all
losing it."
placebo.
And then
Yeah,
they go into epileptic shock because you just traded your epilepsy medicine to Gerald. You probably should have taken that.
yeah. This is taking a dark turn, but yeah, I totally
The
hear you.
DJ is like, to all those folks out there, it's time to take your pills. Let's get jiggy with it.
Stop by the medication window to get your little cup full of medication.
And there's a bouncer there. He's like,
Yeah. Sorry, you're
yeah,
not on the list.
you ain't on the
Move along.
list.
Nope, you've already gotten in line. I saw you take your pills. Get out of here.
Oh, man.
Crazy kids.
Kids. I love when you refer to people way older than you as kids.
Yeah.
Crazy,
Yeah, I mean
crazy
it's
kid.
one of those um
I know
being
you do that
the
with your parents a lot. Like, oh, you kids have fun now.
yeah, you kid. Yeah. It's
Like
a
they
nice
go out to
little bit
dinner
of
or something.
satire.
I like it.
Yeah. You know what grinds my gears though? Kind of on
Beef.
that string of thought, what grinds my gears is when people call me buddy. And I know just by saying it here, people are going to start calling me buddy. But at least it'll make me think of something else. But for
I
some
won't
reason, when
I won't do that to you,
thank you,
buddy.
you son of a bitch.
How dare you?
For some reason, when people call me buddy, I just think I'm like some
A kid?
helpless little kid. Like, oh, it's okay, buddy.
Yeah.
Hey, don't worry about
Hey,
it, bud.
keep that chin up. Here's a sucker. You're gonna be all right.
Exactly.
See, look, here comes your dad to pick you up from the playground.
Yeah.
It's all right. I mean, how do you feel about Bud though?
Ooh.
When it comes, it depends on the person.
Yeah. Okay, give me a situation and I'll tell you how I feel about it. This is a
Okay,
fun game. Yeah, yeah, let's do some scenarios.
yeah, okay. So you got yourself. You have forcefully moved your body onto a bus. You have just now sat down at your seat, and
All right.
a gentleman comes up and goes, "Hey, Bud, is this seat taken? Or is that seat taken, Bud?"
He says it just like that.
Yeah.
That's okay with me. I don't mind if he's just it's
Now, what
like
about
calling
this?
somebody
Hey,
it's like
Bud.
yeah. Oh, no. Nope, I'm putting my foot down.
Yeah.
I actually don't even look up at him. I don't even acknowledge that he just said anything.
You just do like a little hand wave over your shoulder, like
Or you
flicking your fingers at him.
Yeah, or you do that passive aggressive thing where you call him some other like just terrible, real passive aggressive name like, "Oh, I don't know, chief, is it?" Something
Is it? Is it,
something
guy?
when you return with just that real
You you
dickish question.
you match his assholeness.
Exactly.
A soulness.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, here's another one for you. Um,
Yeah.
you're in class, college.
Okay.
Um, you know everyone, the class bell just rang. Everyone just left. You're walking out, and the teacher goes, "Hey, buddy, could you help me with these chairs quick?"
Hmm. And I know he's talking to me. Like, did we make eye contact or something?
You're the last one in that room.
Oh, jeez. Well, first off, I feel like I would just want to get out of there. Um,
That's my upfront feelings.
yeah. Um, you know, I think I would be okay with that. But that's just because I'm kind of. I wouldn't say
A
I
dick.
don't think I'm an asshole. I'm sure there's people out there that might disagree. To which I say, okay, cool it, buddy. But
Hey, bud.
yeah, take it easy, bud. But no, I'd be okay with that one.
I think I would too. Just considering it, like he's an adult. He's
Sure.
also like said it quickly. Because
Yeah,
when you break it down, you're like, "Hey, buddy." Like
I think
if there's space
I think
between the next sentence.
it's also gotta do with a respect thing, Like if I respect that person, I'm gonna let that slide. But the guy that's taking my order in the Taco Bell parking, in the drive-through. Not that I don't disrespect Taco Bell workers, but when he's
Whoa.
like, it's gonna be 5:38. Pull up, buddy. All right.
Yeah, you're like, "Whoa,
Okay.
dude, I
Take
don't know you
take
like
it
that."
easy.
Yeah,
Take it easy.
step off.
Yeah.
I'm just getting a taco.
Yeah. Just give me my
I'm,
Doritos Locos box and we can get going. This
yeah,
episode is sponsored by Taco Bell.
yeah. They're gonna be sending us both a $10 gift card for
Nice. Check the
whatever
mail.
we want.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's they said it would be like anywhere in between like 2020 and like 2030. So we're waiting on the day.
Yeah. So we'll keep you posted in the next episode if we if we get that sponsorship spot.
Really trying to lock it in. There's a lot of
Yeah.
legislation that we have to go through
Sure.
to.
Sure. Well, they're still passing the bill on whether or not Taco Bell can do podcast sponsorships.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, they had a big uh, pun intended here. They had a big blowout because you know they thought it was unfair that they could advertise to people in cars and which personally I don't know. They're on the radio all the time, so you'd expect to be okay, but nope,
Yeah.
apparently not.
Yeah, you turn on the football game and it's like this thing is sponsored by the Narrative Nerds.
Yeah.
Not yet. We're going for that.
Hey, you know what I don't
We're in
get?
the running.
You know what I don't get? How come for all the sports and stuff, it's the most unhealthy sponsorships ever? You know, like
Dude,
you watch
McDonald's.
you watch football and it's like the national sponsorship beer for football is Bud Light, and
And
it's like
Doritos.
yeah, and Doritos, yeah, exactly, and it's like
Fucking Hostess.
why? I mean, I
Yeah,
mean,
why not like this is brought to you by celery.
there are no
Vitamin
notable
water.
there are no notable celery dealers out there that are
I
like,
know.
you know, just really pushing for celery. No one like I'm sorry, but no one likes celery.
Oh, come now, sweet child. Peanut
Yeah.
butter and celery is the jam.
Okay, but if you had to choose between taking peanut butter or celery,
Oh,
I
PB, dude.
yeah, PB all day long.
Dude, let's not ever doubt ourselves there.
Hey, what would your life be like if you were allergic to peanuts, Carter?
I was allergic to peanuts. Why'd you have to ask, Shane?
So already you've sunken into a deep depression just thinking about it.
I'm lost.
To
What is
anybody out there who's allergic to peanuts, I feel for you. You
please
know,
get in touch
that
with
is
us
yeah,
because
we
we
want to
want to
send you a care package of just sympathy cards. It's just going to be like a dozen cards that just say I'm so sorry for your loss.
for your loss. Go for your loss.
That is terrible. What
That's so
happened to
bad.
you?
But seriously, people, we sympathize. We understand. We don't understand, but we can empathetically put ourselves in that shoe. Just one shoe,
Yeah.
because I
I
don't
don't
want to
want to
put
put
two
both
in.
on. I don't
No
want to put
way.
both on. That's too
No.
much immersion for me. I'm a little skittish when it comes to stepping into two shoes.
Yeah.
But maybe it's like one of those things where you don't know what you're missing because you've never had it. I
Yeah, but what
forgot.
if
But
you have had it and then like one day it
it,
strikes?
yeah, that would be terrifying. Like if I went to the doctor for a checkup and they're like, "Oh, yeah, your iron levels are a little low. You could stand to lose a little weight, eat more vegetables, maybe mix in some more water throughout your day. By the way, you can't ever have peanut butter or peanuts or anything that has peanuts in it or was made near a peanut factory."
It's like, why don't you just cut my hand off?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want
Yeah.
to live anymore, dude.
I would take the peanut butter jar out of my bag because I always carry some emergency peanut butter with me. I just take it.
Emergent P.
Yeah, I just take out my emergency and all right. No, I would take out my emergency peanut butter. We got to
Oh,
cut that out. And I would just throw it on the ground and like drop to the floor in a temper tantrum.
just cry.
And then I'd probably, as I'm just sobbing, just start shoveling peanut butter into my mouth. Like
And
they would
just
have to pry it out of my head, out of my
like, no,
hands.
you didn't hear us. We just told you you can't have this.
Yeah.
They're like,
It's not worth living.
it's not worth
Just
it.
let me do it.
Let me go out the way I want to.
Yeah. I'm gonna die a happy man.
Die happy, yeah. It's like, yeah, you go into the doctor and they're like, yes, your blood sugar levels are a bit low. Um, we think you might want just a little bit of insulin. Um, we don't know if it's diabetes yet. Also, you are allergic to your bed.
Oh fuck. Oh no.
No,
Right. That would be terrible.
please.
Yeah,
So
what
like,
if
yeah, you'll be fine
oh
if you just don't sleep in a bed.
what if you could be what if people were allergic to objects? Like, oh, shoot, you have granite countertops? I can only lean on wood countertops or else I break out
Yeah.
into this terrible rash.
But certain types of wood, like pine, I'm cool with. But if you got
Yeah.
mahogany, like bad shape.
Oh, is this an oil-based stain you have on here? You can't do it. I break out in hives and it's really
Yeah.
not good.
Yeah. What kind of air are you using in your house?
Oh, you guys don't have one of those salt blocks, those big orange salt blocks? Doesn't sound like it's gonna be ionized enough for me. I'm gonna have to decline this invitation to your birthday party. Sorry, man.
far too many negative ions in there.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
need at least a 78% positive ion spectrum, or I won't go.
Yeah. I refuse. I refuse.
There's no way.
That's why it took us such a long time to that's why it took us such a long time to find an apartment, because we were like, oh shoot, these walls are all gray. Ah damn, my eyes cross permanently if I look at a gray wall for too long, so we're gonna have to pass on this offer.
Yeah. And there's like one too many lights in here.
Yeah. Oh, also, by the way, I'm terrified of birds, so if there's any birds around the premise, I will have a breakdown daily.
Full on mental breakdown.
Yeah, I
I
have
will
panic
lock myself in
attacks.
a dark closet until I hear
Yeah.
Winnie the Pooh go, "Oh, bother."
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah, that's
only
my
way it brings me back.
yeah, that's like, it just calms my senses when I hear Winnie just oh bother. Oh
It's
man.
it's it's your safe word.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yep.
Winnie, speak to me.
Yeah.
I need to know
Winnie, where
everything
are
is
you?
gonna be okay.
Winnie, where are you? I need you now.
I just need you now. Okay, so I
Yeah.
looked up celery, and I don't think there's any dealers.
I mean, I feel like Dole probably
Dole.
does
Oh,
Dole deal celery?
dude, they got a deal. They're
Hold on,
totally in the game. They're trapping
let me hit
still.
up my hold on, let me hit up my celery dealer.
Is that Cub Foods?
Um no, his name is Stefan with a PH.
Ooh.
Hold on, let me call him up. Yo, Stefan.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what's
you got
good?
the hookup on some celery?
Uh, let me check.
Yeah, I'm just trying to re-up on just a little bit of celery. Just to hold me on.
How much you need, bro?
Ugh. Man, I only have like $5, so if I could just get like a stick of celery.
A stick?
Yeah, just a stick of celery. I think that'll do me. Yeah, I think that'll be fine.
Well, I definitely got you on a stick.
Okay.
What's your budget? This is some really high grade
Man,
sell right here.
can I give you $5 now and $5 later?
If I can give you half the stick now and half the stick later.
You drive such a hard bargain, but God, how can I say no to you, Stefan? I'll be over in a bit.
Okay, love you.
Oh shit, I forgot to say I love you back.
Oh, dude, he's totally gonna eat that celery.
Yeah, Stefan's not gonna hook us up. Sorry, Carter.
It's all good, man. I got some dealers too. I could hit them up.
Okay. Yeah, you
But
got some
later.
celery stuff. Well,
But I
honestly,
got a stash right now. I mean, I think I got like maybe 6 sticks in the fridge.
oh nice. Nice.
Yeah.
You know what I don't understand how people just get so up about is Brussels sprouts. I mean, that just seems to be the new craze drug right now. Brussels sprouts this, Brussels sprouts that. Oh, hey man, you want to come over and listen to some music while we mellow out with some sprouts? No, I don't want to do that. Are you kidding me?
Like,
Brussels sprouts are gross.
yeah, I mean, I got a guy. I shouldn't say I got a guy. He's just a buddy. He lives down the street, and he always invites me over to like watch the football game and have broccoli.
Does he like when you call him buddy?
But he, no, he doesn't mind actually because he's a Minnesotan too.
Oh, okay.
It actually turns out everybody that lives in Connecticut is from Minnesota for some reason. I think it's like an instant like
Weird.
yeah.
Man,
I think like 70% of Minnesotans end up moving to Connecticut. It's an epidemic for Minnesotans.
weird. I was just checking my email the other day, and I should have checked my spam folder recently, but I had an email from like 4 years ago saying that evacuation starts tomorrow. Like make sure you get out to Connecticut. We're starting a hostel out there where you can get set up until you get a job. And
Yeah, with the war on celery, it's we're gonna need to get everybody out.
yeah, celery is a hell of a drug.
Hell of a drug. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
there was this one time I had some celery and it was good.
yeah, yeah. Whenever my
I didn't mind it.
whenever my doctor tells me that I need to eat more greens, I actually ask him if he knows a guy.
Oh yeah, dude, those big pharma guys, they've got the hookup. I mean, they'll charge you way through the roof, um,
Right. I
but yeah,
mean,
I mean it's high quality stuff. You'll
right.
definitely feel it.
Yeah, and Stefan is actually it's actually Stefan MD. We're just close enough now that I don't call him Dr. Stefan anymore.
Dr. Steph. Hey,
Yeah.
Dr. Steph. Well,
Yeah.
he sounds like a great doctor.
Yeah, he's a pretty cool guy. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I just go in there and use the healthcare that I got just to chit chat. Like I don't even, we do the formalities. Oh, you know, check your ears. Yep, you still got wax in there. You're gonna want to clean that out. How are your eyes doing? Okay, well, don't sit so close to the screen. Okay, yep. Anyways, so how's your dog doing? And then we just sit and chit chat for a while, and he
How's your
writes me
dog?
a he writes me a script for some carrots, and I get the hell out of there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, hence the
Just,
eyes, because carrots.
exact. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is
Yeah.
you're gonna probably want to get a carrot guy.
Uh huh.
But a
Yeah.
lot of guys that sell carrots are actually selling celery. They just don't want you to know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I saw that on the news. Well, I guess I didn't see it. Somebody was telling me they saw it on the news because um, I actually don't watch the news. Gasp. But yeah, they were saying that celery is really just, or carrots are really just celery spray painted orange.
Really?
Yeah, but the spray paint actually helps your eyes, which is why huffers always have such wide eyes because they see so much more.
Wow.
Yeah, fun fact about, huffing spray paint is that you get super good eyesight, but all that power going to your eyes drains from all of your brain cells and they just go right to your eyes.
So I'm assuming like once you get that, you're huffing the spray,
Uh-huh.
and you would assume the spray would get on the surface of your eyeball.
Um
So is there a
yeah,
certain color that's like clear spray paint? Do they make clear spray paint?
ooh. Yes?
Why?
I don't know. Maybe you need to like
Why?
well, isn't clear spray paint what they use when they have to detect lasers in the area? They just spray clear spray paint, and the clear spray paint actually creates a barrier on that ray of laser that
Oh
makes
man,
them visible.
I don't believe you.
I don't know.
I don't
Maybe
believe you.
that's fine. I mean, I'm probably lying. So,
It's kind of like invisible clothes. Like
oh,
why? It's like I want everyone to know I'm naked, but it's winter and I'm freezing.
I mean,
I'm reading. Oh man, I'm reading this book right now. It's The Invisible Man by H.G. Wells, and oh my gosh, it's such a trip. He like, have you ever read this book?
no, I
Oh
haven't.
man, put it
HG
H.G.
HG
Wells.
Wells.
Yeah,
Cool. I'll definitely look it up.
stick it in the arsenal. So essentially,
I mean, I
it's
don't know if I'm ready to do that. I'm not really familiar with H.G. Wells enough to put it in my arsenal.
put it on
But
your
I'll
at
definitely.
least on your shelf.
Okay, the shelf. Yeah, okay, that's a good first step.
Yeah, and it
Sorry.
can
Anyways,
move
the
to the
invis.
side of the bed. If
Sure,
I mean
sure.
that's where it is for me right
Well,
now.
you know, if it's a gentlemanly book, I might move it over to the bed. Otherwise, it'll stay in the living room, and we'll have casual, intermittent kind of run-ins. But anyways, I'm rambling. Go on, Invisible Man. Tell me about it.
You'll probably just read the back of the book like 50 times.
Wait,
So
hold on. That's not what you do to read a book?
I thought that's what you do.
Well, that's what
You
I do, but is that what you do?
well, I personally just go to the internet and look at the little wiki notes or whatever,
Sure.
the little 5 bullet points, and take what I want from it. I mean, I don't even really read it. I just go, yeah, I know what
Yeah.
the book is about.
Cool.
Anyway,
Tell me.
so there's I want to say this is like in the early 1900s, something like that. It doesn't really. I didn't really catch where the setting was, but anyway, it's like this little tiny inn that's out in middle of nowhere, and this gentleman walks in from a blizzard, and he walks in. He's just wrapped up. He's got like a bandana over his face. He's got goggles. Um, he's like 100% like just moshed up with clothes, and he's like food and a fire, like quick stat. And he goes and he sits down by this fire, and he doesn't take any of the stuff off, and eventually he does, but he still is like pretty wrapped up in his face. He still's got his gloves on and all this weird stuff, and he's like soaking wet. Eventually he dries out and he like gets a little bit more comfortable, and he says, I'm a scientist, and I do my research. I think he said he was a chemist. And so eventually he gets to this point where you're like starting to get a little suspicious, like what's going on with this guy? And there's this, I don't know, spoiler alert. It's not like this is some new movie.
Yeah, when was the book written? Here's my rule about spoilers.
Late 1800s.
Okay. So here's my rule about spoilers. I have the decade rule for spoilers. If it was made in the last decade, you should ask if anyone's seen it or heard about it or read it, whatever the medium is, and then initiate the alert that there will be a spoiler.
Yeah. But I don't know, man, like for this podcast, I don't know if we're going to be recommending some books and we don't want to like...
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
Wreck. Because I would highly recommend this book.
So for this podcast, and hold on, I'm going to address the listeners. We'll break that wall. So I don't think we want this to be like a book talk where each week we read a chapter, and who knows, maybe people will want that and we might do that in the future. But I think that it's more inclusive if we stick with things that people can jump in at, episode 20 or whatever, and they don't have to be like, oh, now I got to go back and listen to 19 other episodes about, chapters 1 through 12 or whatever. I think it's more inclusive if we don't. So that being said, we can recommend books, maybe give the little stump speech on the book without totally ruining it for somebody.
Yeah, I don't want to go.
I've read some really interesting books that I think are just awesome, that I'd love for people to read and be able to enjoy themselves. So yeah, I totally agree. I wouldn't want to ruin it, but given that this book was written so long ago, I think you can go ahead and spoil it.
I'm not going to do a full-on spoiler.
Okay, yeah, just give the listeners a little tease.
Yeah. So there's this instance where they're in the inn, and he's like, the innkeeper would keep coming in, just like opening the door on him, and he's like, I want my privacy. Leave me alone. I will come down for my meals, but don't knock on the door. Don't barge in. Don't do any of that stuff. And there's this part in the book where he ends up coming down for dinner, and he goes to shake somebody's hand, and his glove falls off, or something like that, and somebody like sees right down the cuff of his shirt, and they're like, all I saw was the end of the shirt. There was no arm there. And so the guy is like, what? And like starts to like reach for him, like to like feel that area of his arm, and all of a sudden a hand, like his arm doesn't really move much, but his hand, which you can't see, grabs the dude's hand who's coming in.
Oh, that's wild.
This is like this invisible hand grabs him, which turns into a fight, and eventually they're like, it's a frenzy. Like people from the town are like running in, and they're like, he's invisible. Like where is he? And like they're like trying not to let him get his clothes off because
they know once he does, he's dust in the wind.
He's gone. Exactly.
No, he is the wind, basically.
Pretty much.
So you said he was a chemist. How did he become invisible? I mean,
Haven't
like, is
gotten there
there?
yet. Haven't gotten there yet.
That's
But
the whole thing.
but he goes and meets up with another doctor who he used to work with in the past, who was, I think, the Invisible Man was the student of this other doctor at one point.
Okay.
So he like goes and he like talks to him. That's where I'm actually at in the book. And so like there's a whole bunch of shit that goes on in between everyone finding out about his invisibility and going to the doctor. There's a lot of craziness that happens, and he's in newspapers, and the doctor is is having dinner one night, and all of a sudden like he goes downstairs to smoke a cigar, and he like notices there's a little bit of blood on the ground, and he's like, huh. So he like follows the blood steps up to his office where he just now was in. There's blood on the handle. And he walks in, and there's an impression on the bed and blood like all over. And yeah, so he's like, what's going on? And then all of a sudden he like sees something like floating across the room, and it's like the bandage that's on the Invisible Man. And he's like totally in shock. Like, I have no idea what that is. And eventually they start communicating. And I think my favorite part about this book so far is he asks the doctor, the Invisible Man asks the doctor for a cigar. And it was such great imagery how I remember seeing this in my mind. They're sitting, he pulls out this little twine basket and sits on it, and it like caves in, but you can't see anything. And like he's like, can I have a cigar? Do you have an extra cigar? And he hands it to him, and then all of a sudden like he feels somebody grab it, but he cannot bring himself to let go of the cigar because he knows he looks like
see anybody.
Yeah, your instinct is like, don't just drop something.
Yeah.
You know? And so he grabs it, and he like all of a sudden the cigar comes over, and it starts like chiefing on it, and it starts glowing. And this is the imagery that I really like, is he said he could see a translucent vapor wave like tunneling through his esophagus, like into his lungs. Yeah.
Dang,
like,
that's so cool.
But it was just like you could see the impression of lungs, like a cast of lungs, but in vapor state. And then when he'd blow, it all just like shoot out of his mouth. I thought that was
awesome.
Yeah.
I absolutely love when really, like, of course, you know, if somebody has published a book, they have talent to an extent, right? So I think it's always so cool when people put a ton of imagery in there, because I think for a reader, you know, your main viewpoint of this whatever kind of style of story you're reading is your imagination, and so that imagery is just such a good ticket in.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of stuff is just so cool. I'll definitely add that to my list of reads. You know, I think that
I would recommend. I just actually recommended this book to a good friend of mine out here, and he went to Barnes and Nobles and picked it up. He said it was he got the same copy that I have, which is actually a 2-part story. It's called the Time Machine, which is a fabulous book. I read that first because chronologically that's how it went. The Time Machine is the second half of the book. They're both short stories, like 100 pages, I think.
Yeah.
I think the Time Machine was 100 pages. I read it in like a day or two. It was really fast, and it was a fabulous story. I loved it. Like the way that it starts and the way that it ends, all in the same setting. It like comes together in like this very, very interesting way. It gives you great imagery. I loved it.
Sounds really cool.
And he goes into the future.
Hey, by the way, speaking of books, you want to know something upsetting that I just found out yesterday?
What's that?
So, Brooke and I Brooke, my girlfriend, for the listeners out there, we well, I'll kind of intertwine it into a little story about our weekend here. So we had the weekend off, and on Saturday we were gonna go to this cool little pinball type bar and grill in the downtown area up in St. Paul.
It wasn't up down, was it?
No, but the bar was called Tilt, and they had all these cool retro pinball machines and stuff.
Sick.
I don't know if you've ever been there, but it seemed really cool. Brooke said she's been there, and they like just have pinball machines, and they serve hot dogs with just wild stuff on there. You can get like a hot dog with just about anything on there. Really wish we could have gone. Kind of a bummer we didn't. So, anyways, we were gonna go do that, but we both didn't really feel like driving into the downtown area, especially with the weekend. It was this past weekend was MEA weekend. So, do you know what that stands for? MEA?
I have no idea. I never have known.
Oh, okay. Well,
But we
maybe
can
it's
make something up here.
sure.
Just give us 15 seconds, folks.
Minnesota, early
I could,
autumn. Minnesota early autumn weekend.
yeah, I like that.
Sure, why not? If you know what it's called, let us know, and we will, correct ourselves at a later date.
We will
But anyways,
humble ourselves.
so it was pretty. We were kind of like, yeah, maybe not. So we decided, okay, well, we'll shoot over to the Mall of America. I'll admit the logic wasn't there, because the Mall of America is basically like a downtown area busyness slapped into Bloomington, Minnesota. So we were like, cool, we'll just go to the mall. It's in town, not a big deal. And we went over there and we spent 5, maybe 10 minutes just driving through driving in a line of cars through the parking garages.
Oh,
Like
that's
it was
great.
that busy. There's one spot that I saw where somebody was about to pull out of, and like 3 people before the people even got to their car,
They
three
all got
people
their
had their
nose in.
blinkers. Yeah, blinkers on. We're all like converging on it. Like I was waiting for people to just start leaning out of their windows, cussing and like pointing and whatnot, throwing stuff. But
Somebody gets out and goes and lays down in the
yeah,
spot. You're not. This is mine.
yeah. Thankfully, we didn't have that. We didn't have to see that confrontation, but we were like just getting anxious, just driving around in this line. So we ended up leaving, and being really frugal, we were like, well, we still kind of want to go and shop. So we end up at the dollar store, which I guess I didn't realize how much I love the dollar store, but I think it's so cool that you walk in and like, nope, there's not like price advertisements because everything's a buck. And you just look at everything and you're like, I want that. So you just grab it because there's no real big ticket that you got to pay. And something that I learned is that now a lot of dollar stores have bookshelves where they sell a bunch of books. And I think Brooke got a
Really?
bunch of like Sudoku and Word Find and like, just kind of like some game books.
Yeah.
And I was looking through the shelves and stuff, and I found this really cool book. It had this cool sleeve on it. It's called The Fallen, and I believe it's written by Chris Higgins. I know the last name is Higgins. I don't know if Chris is the first name, so sorry if I'm butchering that. If that's your favorite book, my apologies.
He'll humble himself in the future.
Yeah. So anyways, I was like, yeah, this looks cool. I read the back, and it was like, yeah, this is about kids who managed to survive some sort of like apocalyptic outbreak where all of the adults were poisoned, and I can't tell if they were like, maybe it's cliche, they turned into zombies or um
All I heard
past.
was post-apocalyptic Lord of the Flies.
Yeah, that sounds about right though. But anyways, and honestly, a little bit about me. Lord of the Flies is probably in my top 3 books of all time. I absolutely love that narrative.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's great. And I don't know if I think we did have 12th grade literature together with Koval when he
Yeah, we
taught.
did.
Amazing book. I really hope Josh Koval listens to this. Anyways,
Oh man, we're sending it to you, Josh.
yeah,
It's coming to you.
if he does, Josh Koval, you are just such a great teacher, such an awesome guy. If you know Josh Koval, let him know I said this because you can go ahead and quote me on that. Great guy, made reading a lot of fun, really inspired me to want to like read and stuff like that. Getting
Oh
off
yeah.
topic here.
There's no
So-
way that I would have any amount of grammar skills
Oh yeah,
if he was not my teacher.
yeah,
He's just a peach of a man. If that
absolutely.
is,
Oh, that reminds
if that's
me.
okay to say.
I'm gonna wrap up this story, but remind me to come back to Josh Koval because I got a story about him.
I will.
So, anyways, we were looking at this book, and I was like, "Man, this is a cool book. It sounds really good. It had that cool effect where like the outside edges of the pages are a color, and it was like this all black pages, and like it was just a really interesting book. So I was like, throw it in the cart. We're getting this. It's a buck.
Throw it in the cart.
It's like a 250-page book for $1. Are you kidding me? Yeah. Like, can I get that book deal where like I just write books and sell them to the dollar store, and I don't even want royalties on it. I just want to put it on the shelves. So anyways, I went to open it yesterday, and I start reading it, and I'm like, man, this is really weird. I mean, I know a lot of writers like to jump into the middle of a book and go just like, boom, start in the middle, you're immersed in the story, and then backtrack later. So I was like, yeah, okay, I'll read a little bit. And I'm like reading a little bit. I was like, something's not right. There's a lot of these weird name drops and allusions that I just was not picking up on. And I look, and son of a bitch, it's number 5 in the series. So now I'm in a pickle because either I go and I buy book 1,
or you continue.
or I just say, you know what? Let's start at number 5. I don't know if number 5 is if that's the final book or whatever, and I don't know. But I felt
pretty funny if it was the last book.
I felt so stupid that I was holding the book in my hand. I read the entire back cover, but I did not see the big thing on the spine that said book 5. Like,
dude, that's awesomely tragic.
Yeah, pretty tragic. But
hey Shane, what's in the box? It's Josh Koval.
Oh yeah, so Josh Koval, teacher over at Kennedy High School. At least I hope he is. Really cool guy. He's just interesting to listen to. I remember and he's great. Like and this is something that's really hard for a high school teacher to do. He made reading Shakespeare fun because he would assign a reading, and we read Macbeth, which is my absolute favorite Shakespeare play. I just think it's really interesting. We can get into that later if you got any notes on it, Carter. But he made reading a ton of fun. We read a bunch of different really cool literature, like Lord of the Flies, Macbeth, Tuesdays with Morrie. A ton of short stories, stuff like that. But the most memorable day in that class was Carter and I would bring dirt bags, like the little hacky sacks, to class.
Oh yeah, dude.
And like, if you got done with your work, you could. Well, originally we started doing it in the hallways, but one day after we got done with our work, which, by the way, were these sentence sheets because we turned in a paper right at the beginning of the semester, and Koval was like, "I have never witnessed the most unintelligible group of 12th graders ever," which incited him to. Each week we had to do like these sentences.
12, I think. I think you had to do like 12 per week, and there was like it was like one. It was like series 1 through 13. Or something like that. And then there was like 12 series.
I can't remember exactly what it was, but we did so many of them.
I remember there was at least 50.
Yeah, which even though it was kind of a pain at the time, and a lot of like it was a groaner of a topic to bring up because everyone hated it, but it made me so much more cognizant of my sentence structure that it really, kind of melded the way that I write now, which is just really cool.
I completely 100% credit those worksheets for the only reason why I know how to like use commas, semicolons. Semicolons.
Yeah, the other day at work, or no, it was probably about a month ago at work. We were working on an FAQ, and somebody was like, "Oh, is this a put a semicolon here, or what punctuation goes here. And I was able to be like, oh, no, well, it's a dependent clause here, so we have to have this type of punctuation. Oh, we have to have this and this. And like, yeah, I got a degree to like write and stuff like that. But in college they don't go, this is a dependent clause, this is an independent clause, this is
Yeah.
yada yada yada. So definitely really helpful. But I remember one day we got done with the worksheets early. Some of us did, and some students were still working. And Carter and I were like, "Hey, Mr. Koval, do you mind if we like just play a little hacky sack? Do you mind if we kick the bag around a little?"
Kick the bag.
Koval, I remember like the look on his face said, "I feel like I shouldn't," but he was like, "Yes, just don't disturb anybody. As long as you guys don't disturb anybody, it's not a big deal."
Yeah.
Just to let you know, if you are looking, or if you're trying to focus on something and you hear the subtle thump thump tink thump boom of a hacky sack getting kicked around, it's automatically distracting.
Oh yeah.
This is why I think he did it though, because it was probably like 30 seconds in, and he like hopped up and it went over kind of by him, and immediately he scoops it up and tosses it in, and just like hops right into the game and like
I remember that
with Carter and I.
I'm pretty sure he was in green corduroys for some reason. That's what I remember about that instance.
And he had these shoes that he always wrote the same saying on the sole. He was a big runner guy, so like he always had that like empowering saying that he would write like along the white soles of his shoes.
That's right.
Super cool guy.
He ran a lot. He was the track coach, right?
I think so. Yeah, cross country. I think
cross country. Yeah.
Maybe track though. Anyways, it was
dude, I just loved like at the pep rallies. He would dress up like in the assassin and just go running.
Yeah, he would put on like the spandex suit or whatever and have like the track gear on and the big wild wig and stuff and get people stoked.
Oh, it was like, he's here.
Yeah. But anyway, so we were playing hacky sack for a while, and I remember Koval had this wicked like, and this could have been where we like learned the move, but he did that behind the leg kick, and he kicked it up way high and it dinked the ceiling, came down and hit this girl like square in the head. I can't remember who it was. I want to say it was like I think her name was Jessica or something like that. But it hits her in the head, and she's like the only person that's actually working in the class. Everyone else is watching Mr. Koval and us play hacky sack. She's the only one that like gets hit in the head, and she is actually working. But I think she was a good sport about it. So
she's like, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry for my head getting in the way of your game.
Yeah, right. But yeah, no. Long story short, Koval was just a cool guy, and I hope that he listens to this at some point and goes, "Hey, cool, thanks."
Yeah, dude.
But
Koval, if you are listening, much love for you, brother.
Absolutely, yeah. Cool ass dude. If you guys ever have the, pleasure of having a teacher, don't take it for granted. I know that high school is a cool time to goof off and make friends and stuff, but do what you gotta do. Learn, be there,
and be respectful to the teachers that are good to you. That are
Well, I mean,
there's a lot of them are trying, and you just can't tune in with you in that manner. But
be respectful to all the teachers. We'll just throw that out there, but be especially respectful to the cool ones.
Definitely.
All right, so yeah, we just finished up with our little advertisements for you guys. Carter and I are thinking we're gonna wrap it up about here. Carter, how often do you want to do these? When do we want to do these? How often do we want to get this out to people?
I mean, practically never. I don't want anybody to hear anything that I said. Okay. I don't want. So you could put it out, and I'll mute my voice. Or what we could do is we could create a secret website that has like thousands of codes. Cool. And like puzzles and secrets, and that's like the only way you can actually access them.
You know what I actually might do, Carter? So 2 things. I'm gonna go old school startup hip hop style. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to burn this onto a CD and then go stand on a corner in suburban Bloomington and just sell them for $5 a pop. This week's installment, selling it $5 a pop.
I got your good celery right here, boy.
Yep. Don't low key though. I don't want everybody to know that I'm into celery, which is pretty easy to hide since because of my weight. But also I'm gonna go to the downtown area and just busk. I'm just gonna get a megaphone. I'll put you on speakerphone, and we're just gonna do this freestyle downtown once a week. We're just gonna put out a appropriate with the name. We're just gonna lay a book out flat and let people throw money on it, and we're just gonna busk it.
Just busk it. Just busk it.
That should be a verb.
Busk it.
That should. Oh yeah. I'm just gonna say busk it
with a musket.
And that verb would just be like, it just means that you're just gonna stand in a place and do something for money. Pretty straight up. I mean, that's on the nose, right?
Yeah.
So just busk it.
We could just be the Busket Brothers.
Yeah. Straight buskin'.
Straight buskin'.
Yeah. Well.
This has been a lot of fun. Diving into some past stories and getting creative and being weird and having some fun, sharing some goofs and some laughs.
Yeah, and we're gonna be doing a lot of this kind of freestyle kind of style where we're just riffing on whatever we come across, whatever pops into the mind. If anybody has any particular recommendations or something you like, something you hate, let us know. Eventually, we'll probably throw an email or a Facebook page name right here. Pause for it.
Ting tong, ting tong.
But for right now, we don't have that, so we'll keep you posted. And I think next time we're going to jump into some one-sentence stories, which are basically where you kind of tell a story in one sentence, or you kind of tell a narrative in and of itself. So
we got all sorts of fun games.
Absolutely, yeah. We have a ton of different brainstorming and improv games that we're going to throw out there. And yeah, we're going to have some fun with it. We're also going to introduce a segment called, I don't know what the segment's going to be called, but basically we're going to have some fun with words in a different way, where we are going to randomly choose a word from the dictionary and try and define it and see how close we are. And all that kind of stuff too. Yeah, stick around for that. Come back, stay tuned. To be continued. This is a saga. This is gonna be a recurrence. So stick around and be familiar.
Yeah, get in touch with us.
Absolutely. So
if there's some ideas you got or things you want us to goof off about.
Absolutely. So again, if you haven't already picked up on it, I'm Shane Ryan.
And I'm your boy, CP Carter Petrie.
And we are the Narrative Nerds, and we're here in our interdimensional pod, bringing all sorts of different worlds to you, showing you a new way to look at stories, and just here to be a little bit of entertainment for you, here to have some fun. And yeah, thanks so much for listening. We really appreciate the support as we start up here, and you guys are just awesome. The listeners out there that are listening, let us know your thoughts. We want to make this as enjoyable as possible. So if it's something you like, let us know. If it's something you hate, you let us know too. We want to hear.
I hate it.
Oh God, it was just annoying as hell. I wanted to punch my media player. All right, well, signing off. Thanks so much again, and we will talk with y'all next week.
Thanks, guys. Have a great week.